Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to yet another stream where we talk about latest Canadian immigration updates. Today is Sunday, July the 20th, and we are going live today from Toronto, Ontario. This is where we are located. We are regulated Canadian immigration consultants talking about Canadian immigration all the time. That's what we do. And today's live is going to be extremely exciting because we have a lot of updates for you today. IRCC has been on a roll. IRCC has rolled out a lot of changes, and what we have for you today is to start with parents and grandparents, basically, people trying to invite their family members. So, that is one of the key important updates. Then, Quebec has come out with an important update. They are technically stopping issuing CSQs at one level. There is an important update with regards to your PNPs as well. Nova Scotia has an important update for you. Then timelines, we will be taking a look at timelines. Then we have Ontario. Important news with regards to students who are willing to come to Ontario. So that is going to be an important one. Along with that, we will take a closer look at the express entry pool. As always, express entry happens to be an important um, area of interest for everybody because let's be real, IRCC express entry Canadian immigration, that is bread and butter for us. So like I said today, extremely important updates, a lot of changes that have been rolled in. But before we move forward, please do take a note of our contact details that are there on the screen, and also do consider subscribing to our channel because we roll out important updates on our social media across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. So please do consider subscribing if you are interested in Canadian immigration. Now, guys, overall, looking at the important updates coming in, the first and most important update is the parents and grandparents program. Now, a lot of grievances are coming through with, uh, you know, from the latest or the recent uh, permanent residents of Canada. Now, what happened is the parents and grandparents program was always a legacy program. Family sponsorships are a part of pillar of what IRCC and immigration in Canada is following like since forever. What happened is up until 2020, the parents and grandparents sponsorship program went through a lot of tussle, a lot of changes every now and then. But what they did was in 2020, like the previously rolled out programs as well, they decided to hold a lottery intake where a lot of people, like anybody who's eligible under the PGP program, would be able to submit a lottery ticket, and they received, well, apparently over 50,000 or 60,000 applications in that year. And then they started inviting people in terms of a lottery draw. Ever since then, the new lottery intake has been shut down, and 2020, 2021, 2, 3, 4, and apparently 5 as well, IRCC has not opened that intake. Now, what we have on the screen today is the PGP on July 16th. This was announced earlier as well in this year, but now this is a final notice where they're saying that July 28th, we will be inviting newer people from that batch of 2020. So, whosoever submitted that sponsor form in 2020, only those people are eligible, and those people will be able to invite their parents and grandparents in this particular draw. Again, a lot of people are happy with this because they initially, what initially was designed to be a lottery is now turning out to be specifically a sponsorship form. The problem with this is that a lot of people may not still continue to be eligible. That's why they are having a 10,000 sort of a rollover year on year. But why is the Liberal government doing it? I personally believe, well, we don't have any confirmation on that, but I personally believe that those permanent residents back then would now be Canadian citizens as of today. If they invite their parents today, they will mostly be the vote banks for the Liberal government going in the future. Also, if their parents are invited today, the parents will also get their citizenship by the time the Liberals go for voting once again in a 4 or a 5 year term, whenever, whatever is applicable, depending upon whether Mark Carney tries to fold early or whenever. But still, I believe this is a political agenda where the Liberal government is trying to bank on the newer immigrants, so that in the future, by the time they go back to voting, the permanent residents, the latest permanent residents are are able to become citizens, and then probably 2 or 3 years down the line they will open that for everybody. But for now, the major important update is that the parents and grandparents program is opening its doors once again on July the 28th. Now, it's not a newer program. They're only inviting 10,000 people from the people who had initially submitted the sponsorship form in 2020. That's one of the key and important updates as of today. The second most important update that is coming is Canada's unemployment rates have gone through the roof. This is mostly important because the low wage LMIA processing figures have been updated on July the 11th, which is just almost about last week. But what it's showing us is bizarre trends and expectation of whether low wage LMIs will even continue in the future or not. But let's just take a look at the important processing at this moment. The uh, figures, as you see on the screen, are seven. So Halifax, Nova Scotia has seen a jump in unemployment to 6.2, and then New Brunswick has also seen a jump. While there is New Brunswick, otherwise continues to be above the meter of 6%, which means in these areas for sure, the low wage LMIs will continue to be refused to be processed. Quebec overall is dramatically in a lot of areas below the unemployment rate, and I also have an important update with regards to Quebec today. But yes, the unemployment rate in only Montreal and Quebec is very high. So that means low wage LMIs will not be processed. Otherwise, if you look at Ontario, pretty much the unemployment figures in entire Ontario is shut doors. See, look at this entire gamut. So right from Kingston, Belleville, which is east, till Oshawa, Toronto, Hamilton, St. Catharines, and Kitchener, Waterloo, and Brantford. This is pretty much a blackout. We are only closing in on Guelph, which is sitting at 5.9%. So only employers in Guelph will be able to do a low wage LMIA, um, which is not really which is just about time that whenever they come to review in the next 3 months, hopefully, or potentially this will also be over. You're looking at London, Windsor, Barrie, all of these are pretty much shut doors. So in Ontario, roughly, if you're trying to do an LMIA, either it should be located in Guelph or should be a rural area. Pretty much that's about it. There's nothing else that is left over. If you look at no, we do have Thunder Bay, Greater Sudbury, and Thunder Bay still left over, so that is still there. In Manitoba and Saskatchewan and Lethbridge, Alberta, we still have some room available. Calgary is pretty much over, and Alberta and all of these figures like BC is again pretty much over, except with Victoria, which is the island. So everything else, like the unemployment rates have gone through the roof, which means no more low wage LMI is being processed in these areas. Although these numbers are susceptible to changes, so hopefully when in the next 3 months IRCC, when they, or the Department Stats Canada, whenever they update their figures, they will be able to introduce more changes in this. But yes, for now, and also we're expecting severe round of changes in work permits as well. There is an important notification which I'm not covering in today's update because I had to go through that before I could present it to you. But important changes coming in with regards to work permits, and IRCC has three new proposed um, changes which are under consultations, which I have read through that material, but it only came to my light about last night, and I am still due to go through that and present it to you. So not pleasant to see that. I Anyways, important updates coming in with regards to Nova Scotia as well. So guys, Nova Scotia, as you can see on the screen, important updates are here. Program updates with regards to Nova Scotia, they're pretty much closing in doors. Closing in doors is not the right way to put it, but it is nothing less than closing doors as well, because Nova Scotia's latest update says we are only going to prioritize occupations in healthcare, construction, and also looking at regional places across the province. People who are likely to stay in Nova Scotia. Applications from outside Canada in healthcare and social assistance and construction will continue to be prioritized. Most other applications outside Canada in non-priority sectors will not be processed. So closing doors for trucking, science, clean energy, and resource and development. That's pretty much a wrap up for Nova Scotia for the year 2025. In 2026, they are saying we are prioritizing healthcare and social assistance again in 2026. So people who are trying to apply for Nova Scotia, the answer is very simple. If you are going to be working in STEM, clean energy sectors, and resource and development, it's a closed door for 2025 with Nova Scotia, and also closed door for 2026 as well. In 2025 and 2026, if you are trying to get into Nova Scotia, uh, three most important things: it either has to be healthcare and social assistance, or construction, or you have to be living in the regional areas. That's it. Otherwise, you can very well call it a wrap for Nova Scotia for at least 2025, and then 2026 is coming through. So that's the important update with regards to Nova Scotia. um, Am I surprised on it? No, because they're pretty much following the suit pattern with Saskatchewan, with BC, Ontario, and now this. Although Ontario has not said that they're going to be prioritizing anything like that, but yeah, um, for now they're pretty much in line with what Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia has to say. So now it's Nova Scotia as well. We now know what is the flavor of PNPs in this particular year, 2025. It is not looking rosy. It is not looking very, very bright. Um, so that's pretty much what we have with regards to Nova Scotia. But an important update coming in with regards to Quebec. Quebec is now stopping to issue CSQs. Now have a look at this. Program delivery update: CSQs holders currently outside Quebec. Effective January 16th, the ministry, MIFI, is ceasing to send letter of invitations to CSQ holders outside of Quebec in order to apply for a work permit under Admin Code A76. So this particular is a wrap for Quebec as well. Officers will continue to process all work permit applications submitted under this category where letters of invitations were issued by this up to January the 15th. Clients have 90 days to submit work permit applications, receiving a letter from MIFI. Guys, although we just recently saw that the unemployment rate in Quebec is on a lower side in major of the areas. The unemployment rate in Montreal and Quebec City majorly are still okay, but are on the higher side, which means low wage LMIs will not be processed in Montreal and the other ones. But for everywhere else, they still have a lower unemployment rate, which is a good thing because that means Canadian citizens and permanent residents are getting their jobs. But yes, they will not be issuing any further CSQs for R205 A76 under the International Mobility Program. So that is pretty much an update with regards to Quebec. Um, Another important update is from the with respect to international students. Now we all know that international students happen to be an integral part of um, the immigration system, the Indian diaspora overall, but not only Indian, but the overall international student community. Along with that, the international students are contributing to the economy. They are taking care of a lot of jobs here. They are supporting the economy by paying international student fees, the taxes, and also inexpensive labor, and all of that is a major contribution, which you know keeping the raising property values and the rentals and crime, as people are linking that to international students and whatnot. Keeping that aside, the international student program does bring in a lot of money, taxes, dollars, and inexpensive labor into Canada. These four important things cannot be neglected. But overall, Ontario is trying to revamp the college and university funding as early as next spring. Now, this is something that is going to affect the local students, the local students inside Canada. Now, approximately 80,000. Let me just bring it up on the screen. Um, if you see here, Approximately 80,000 Ontario students won't have a spot in their preferred programs over the next 5 years. This is an important update with regards to, um, yeah, here it is. Mm, Yes. So, approximately by spring 2026, they're addressing the financial instability in the post secondary institutions. That means colleges and universities are facing a lot of layoffs, which obviously is a direct impact with regards to the international student term. They may end the 7 year tuition freeze to allow schools to generate more revenue. So that particular thing is coming into an action, which means this will create a fair, transparent model so that the labor market demands can be met and fewer layoffs are seen in Ontario, because Ontario is taken aback by international student cuts. So this is a measure where they can try to fix this particular issue. On another news, there has been a recent draw with the PEI as well. Let me just bring it up on the screen. PEI on July 17th held a draw where 39 candidates were invited in the labor and express entry field. Candidates working, as you can see, yes, candidates working in the priority sectors based on economic impact and PEI were being selected. So 39 candidates, congratulations to you guys. This is your time when you can submit your file and make it work for your Canadian PR. Well, not everybody else is getting a PR. Well, at least you have an opportunity and you should be making it uh, towards Canadian permanent residence. Guys, this is the week where we see a CEC draw or a PNP draw, or maybe a French or a trade or a health and whatnot, because this is the bi weekly setup. Today is July the 20th. So, next week, hopefully, we will have another round of invitations, because what we have seen so far is the last draw that happened was on July the 8th, 2025. The CRS distribution as of July the 6th. Hopefully, this will get updated tomorrow, but as of last week, um, the distribution says about 22,591 people sitting in 501, and approximately 256,000 people sitting in the pool overall. That's the number that we are looking at. Now, with this particular thing, the last couple of draws, if you see, the last draw that happened with CEC was 518. Before that, CEC 521, and before that, CEC 529. So consistently, we are seeing CEC being dropped within Express Entry. So this week's hope is we will continue to see another CEC draw sub 518. My guesswork says if we are lucky that IRCC continues to invite 3,000 people again this particular week, we should be seeing a 515, 513 sort of a draw if it's still there. Apart from that, apart from that, I hope we see a trade draw and a lower cutoff on a healthcare draw. The last cutoff on a healthcare was a 504. There is still some space available in French, very small nitpick worth of a space available. But yes, starting July 21st, which is this week, we should hopefully see another few rounds of express entry draws, and hopefully the Canadian experience class also sees a drop. Apart from that, what's important to see the update on timelines. Now, everybody is all worried about timelines. As you can see, um, timelines right now are sitting at approximately 6 weeks for work permits from India. That's what we have taken. And work permit from inside Canada are again sitting at 181 days. This is as of July the 16th. Study permits from inside Canada is taking 11 weeks, which is a little bit on a higher side. Visitor visas are taking 29 days at the moment from India, and then study permits outside Canada are taking approximately 3 weeks. But having said that, the processings are very, very strict. IRCC released a tweet as well, and they openly accepted that the refusal rates are on an all-time high. Although they pinned the blame on frauds, immigration frauds, not using the right agents and whatnot. I believe that is incorrect, because That is not incorrect. Basically, that's a part of the bigger truth. The bigger truth is that IRCC has its own designed set of caps. They're not letting everybody in. There are stricter checks. They've become more strict in their processing. So if IRCC is refusing files, I believe it's a part of the regime where they do not want unwanted people to come to Canada anymore. And we're all seeing, in fact, parents of permanent residents and citizens, they are also being rejected for as super visas and visitor visas, and everybody study visas. A lot of refusals across the board. Not really happy with the way IRCC is being strict about it, but I believe this is something that IRCC should be doing. Uh, Not the undue refusals, but yes, IRCC has to be strict because it's a country that you're running, and you cannot let any wrong elements into the country, right? So, yep, it is what it is, guys. It is the time for Q&A. I hope people have been mentioning their questions. Let me just take the questions and see what are we looking at. Nice, good question. Jazz, can a commerce student with a math take skilled trade courses in Canada? That's an interesting one. Jazz, the simple answer to your particular question is that there should not be a mismatch of your career goals, logical career progression, with regards to the future course that you're seeing. We have often on seen IRCC process study permit files because your question has two parts to it. One, whether the college will accept an admission intake or not, and whether IRCC will process your study permit or will you get an approval or not. As far as the college is concerned, I believe every college will have a different requirement. For example, if you're trying to do a trade draw, say a trade course, for example, you're trying to get into electrician or electrical and stuff like that, then I'm sure colleges will be happily accepting your maths that you've studied in your grade 12 or lower or whenever. But at the same time, is IRCC going to be happy about it? Now, that will depend upon your study plan, the way you present your case. How are you going to justify your logical progression? How are you going to justify you going back to your home country and then trying to make yourself a career out of it? How is the education in Canada going to benefit your future, whether it's inside Canada, outside Canada? What is the level of education that you've done so far? Is it a logical progression or not? Is it connected to your experience or your studies? These are the couple of things that IRCC would want to see whenever they are issuing any decisions. So make sure that whatever course you take, you have a logical answer to all of these questions that I just mentioned. Hopefully you will be able to select the right course and then present your case in a better manner to IRCC. Rest, if you need any assistance, we will be happy to assist you in your study permit applications as well. Uh, yes, we are expecting that there should be a healthcare draw this year. Whether it's going to be 480 or not, that nobody knows. But my expectations are, if the scores drop further, the lowest it should be able to hit at least this year would be around 475 plus. There should be a healthcare draw for sure. When it should be there, I believe somewhere down, you know, somewhere around August till September, we should see another healthcare draw. Whether the score will drop or not, that only time will tell. Study visa trend as compared with May intake. Harshit, so far study permits have not had a positive trend with the IRCC. We are seeing a lot of refusals, being spread across social media. Although personally, we have not seen any refusal so far. But yes, we have had a couple of consultations where people are being refused left, right, and center. In fact, recently there was one case where IRCC refused a case. The person applied for a reconsideration, and in reconsideration they picked up another case which was totally not related. So that was a bigger issue. So IRCC is apparently making a lot of mistakes as well. So we have gone in for a JR. We have suggested the person to go in for a JR in that, but yes, the trend is not so positive. And also from an application perspective, also from India, which is the major source of international students, there is a sharp drop in 80% worth of applications. So yeah, that is something we will see in the future. Sukhman, the agriculture stream apparently is not in preference for 2025 so far. IRCC's agriculture stream, which was there in 2024, is no more in demand in 2025. We don't hope to see any further draws in agriculture, although we do have a small note from IRCC where there was a discussion or at least an agenda that was raised that they might be looking at special work permits for agriculture related workers. So that might well, there is no official confirmation on that, but hopefully we see some sort of a work permit for agriculture workers because low wage work permits are all over the place. They're not being processed. Hence, if the lobbying is done right, then the industries of agriculture will be able to support it. So that might just happen. But overall, agriculture for PR is not in demand. Milin, what is the future of express entry draws? I believe Millen has a question. What is the future of French draws and express entry? Now, French draws and express entry, we are pretty much done with approximately 19,000 draws this particular year in French already, and a lot of landings have happened already. So, don't expect a lot more action to happen in French draw specifically, but we are expecting another round of 3 to 4,000 people worth of invitations to happen somewhere down this year. But yes, this year is pretty much done almost because French was the main flavor up until the first half of 2025. Next year, a good outlook for French draws, approximately 8.5% to 12% worth of a target of all the high skilled workers, which means French is still continuing to go strong into 2026 as far as IRCC's Canadian permanent residence is concerned. George Thomas, IRCC is not conducting trade draws till now. Is it due to layoffs? No, I hope not. We are all very surprised why they haven't conducted any trade draws so far. But as it is, if you look at the previous years as well, number of trade draws was very limited. One at max two draws, and the number of people invited was also pretty low. This year, we've already seen that the the type of NOC codes that are pouring into the trade category includes cooks, which means approximately 20,000 people. So that was a number shared by one of our fellow RCICs on LinkedIn, Burku. And I wanted to make a video on that as well. At this moment, IRCC has approximately 23,000 or 20,000. I'm forgetting the number, but 23,000 worth of cook related NOC code in the stream, which means if a trade draw happens, that might as well be renamed as a cook draw because the actual trade workers in the system are having lower scores. Whether they conduct a trade draw or not, mostly cooks will get picked up. That's my outlook so far. I think for next year, IRCC will have to redo the list of NOC codes in trades for sure. Uh, Divyanshu, are PGWPs being rejected? Divyanshu, PGWPs thankfully are free from such mistakes and such agendas. PGWP's recent changes include a field of study requirement and English score inclusion. So that means you'll have to write an IELTS or a language test score and then also be in the right field of study. But overall, no, we are not seeing PGWPs being rejected unless there is a discontinuation in the course unless you have not done the right program or you've not been a regular student or if you have worked without authorization. If those are the things that are coming out in your profile, then yes, there can be a problem. But overall, no, PGWPs are being processed fairly regularly without any issues. I haven't seen any cases of PGWP rejections unless there is an issue by default in your file. uh, what other questions do we have? Okay. My PGWP expires in 4 days. Can I ask for an open work permit extension based on French score 8666? As I couldn't find an employer, just need little time to score 7777. My friend, you cannot get an open work permit extension to your PGWP just because you need time to live in Canada or just because you need time to do something that will get you a PR. Okay, that is not how it works. An open work permit extension always has an eligibility attached to it. For example, you've done education. For example, your spouse received a PR invitation, or you received a PR invitation. Your PNP is under process, or say, for example, you've been subject to abuse by the employer. So those are such, very small list of um, eligibility requirements attached to an open work permit extension. Just because you need it so that you can score better does not qualify you for an open work permit extension to your PGWP. I know a lot of people are submitting dummy work permit extensions, but please be mindful that IRCC has put up a strong triage where they're trying to refuse such files. And also, dummy work permit extensions are subject to misrepresentation potentially, although we haven't seen any specific case so far. But yes, that could potentially result into a misrepresentation as well if you answer the questions incorrectly and if you try to put up a wrong reason of request. uh, do you expect OINP job offer general category draw? Ketan, we are expecting an OINP general draw, or at least an OINP job offer draw anytime in or before August. That was an insider that I had posted last during my last live as well. We don't have an insight into whether it's going to be a general draw or not. I hope they do hold a general draw as well. Even if they do, the number of invitations will be very low. Honestly, OINP so far in the first half of 2025 has been very closed doors. They only started coming out in the end of June, because they were undergoing a lot of changes in their portal. Then they kept it very secretly closed. Nobody knew what was happening. Um, but yes, general draw or not sure, but there will be a draw before August, hopefully. All right. Manoj, travel document processing time. I'm not sure which travel document are you referring to, but if you're talking about a TRV, which is a temporary resident visa, and if you're inside Canada, less than a month. Outside Canada, also right about approximately a month. Middle East times are about 3 to 4 months. That's what I know so far. But um, PRTD, if you're referring to permanent resident travel document, that processing time is close to about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's pretty much all the sort of travel documents you could probably point to. All right, guys, we've already taken a lot of questions. Let me just start taking in. You're most welcome, Manoj. Okay, this is interesting. I worked in India in an oil and gas field with 12-hour shifts for 6 months. Will these hours be considered equivalent to 1 year of experience? Good question. No. Um, in terms of our calculations, IRCC is very simple, plain put forward. You can only calculate to a maximum of 30 hours per week. If you're working more, say for example, you're working 12 hours on a daily basis, which results in approximately 60 hours. So the additional 30 hours, more than 30. So the cap is 30. If you work 40, 50, those extra balance of hours will be wasted. It cannot be carry forward to another week. You cannot account it for anything at max. So 1 year has 52 weeks. 52 into 30 hours per week. 52 into 30 is 1560. So that means work for 30 hours per week, work for 52 weeks. Together it's called 1560, 1 year of work experience. I hope that clarifies. If you work for more in a shorter period of time, those extra hours will be wasted. You cannot carry forward it to another week. Okay. Thank you, Zulkar Nain. Thanks for the support. Shed some light for hospitality. Okay, this looks interesting. Shed some light for hospitality and temporary foreign worker PNP in BC for ELSS category. Right now, BC has openly expressed that they are only going to be inviting people in health, in minor in construction and trade, and that's about it. So if you're not in health and trade specific, that to very specific NOC codes in BC, then don't expect any update with regards to a PNP in British Columbia. That is pretty much over for BC. I don't think that is going to be a good one. Okay, so Question with Zulkar. I am already past my processing time, but haven't heard anything from IRCC yet. Yesterday, my representative called me and mentioned she saw an email saying there's an update, but when she logged in, there was nothing there. I also checked my email, didn't say anything. Just wondering if that's common and what should we do. Zulkar, if you get an update email from IRCC and you log in and you don't see anything, then that is probably a ghost update. Um, so there are two sorts of ghost updates. One, it is purely a ghost update. That means IRCC internally is changing a sequence of your landing. So that means probably you are coming closer to a decision, which could hopefully be positive. Otherwise, there is a minor update in the sections below. If you see like what date could change, processing date or an update could change, date of an update could change. Try to log in into the PR tracker. There you might be able to find a status change or a status update. But yes, it is common, it is nothing surprising. A lot of people get ghost updates or status update emails. At least one update per profile is very common. So yes, and it is usually positive. That means the person is coming closer to a decision. I hope that clarifies. um, Sujan, yes, we are expecting an OINP Masters draw anytime soon. Now we are all in line for it. We're all waiting for it. We hope that there is an OINP Masters graduate stream draw before August. That is uh, what we are expecting. All right, guys. I believe we will take one parting question, and then that should be it for today. Uh, okay, let's see. This Employer denied. So, Sunita, I'm trying to answer your question. I'm trying to look for uh, the first part of your question. No, I'm not able to find it. Okay, this looks good. What if there's so many termination during work permit? Does that justify to extend work permit because there is always loss of time and termination to find another job? AVS, good question. My friend, vulnerable open work permit in such particular situation is can be an option, cannot be an option, but you'll have to take a closer look at it. Now, vulnerable open work permit in principle by default is meant for people who are facing abuse at workplace, financial abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, um, physical abuse, or mental abuse. These five types of abuse, if you are able to justify, then technically you can apply for a vulnerable open work permit. Say, for example, your employer laid you off and did not pay you the severance, did not give you the notice period, did not pay you well, and held back your checks. Then that is financial abuse. Your employer was shouting on you, continuously for a couple of days, and that affected you mentally and was verbally abusing you, cursing you and whatnot. So that is one kind of abuse. Sexual abuse, obviously everybody knows that. Then mental abuse and all of those things. If you are able to prove or give supporting documentation for such things, then yes, you can submit an application for a vulnerable open work permit. But just because your employer terminated your employment and paid you off properly following the Code of Employment Standards Act, then that doesn't qualify you for a vulnerable open work permit. However, recently I've seen a couple of cases where people applied for it and got that approved. I was surprised, but that is not the proper definition or the eligibility criteria of a vulnerable open work permit. People like to do it, people want to do it, and people are doing it. I've seen a lot of practitioners doing it. That's their choice, but I just told you the proper definition of vulnerable open work permit. That's how that gets processed. Perfect. Guys, hopefully you got much insights into the world of Canadian immigration today. It was lovely chatting with you. And just in case if you've missed any questions, please feel free to book an appointment with us. Our contact details are there in the description box and also on the screen. Lovely chatting with you as always. I hope to see you next Sunday as well. That's when we regularly do our updates. Please be sure to be around on 11 at 11 a.m. Hopefully the questions that were left today, we can answer them next Sunday. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our online social media, we give out very good quick updates on Instagram, TikTok. Please do consider subscribing. Find us under the name Sahil Sial, and we will be able to give you all the updates. Lovely chatting with you, and as always, see you on the other side. All the best.